So welcome back. We spent 45 minutes out on the stand-up paddleboard. I completed class. Unfortunately, the video on the phone I was using cut off. So here we are to supplement that. Everybody worked into their dolphin pose and their variations, whether they were really low to their board, and they utilized a puppy pose or a child's pose. Some people went into supported headstand or tripod. Some people dove their dolphin, and everybody had a great time. And we winded down to the board for a deep stretch and cool down, and this video is to supplement that. So basically we'll be opening up into the front of the hips, utilizing the dolphin pose, really activated into the hip flexors. So we spent a lot of time lengthening into the triceps, as well as opening up into the psoas and getting into the hip extensors for that counter of our peak posture of dolphin pose. So starting out first from child's pose. So whether or not you actually did a practice with your stand-up paddleboard and now you're tapping into this for your cool down, or you did another practice and now you want to open up into the front of the hips, or you just simply want to open up into the hips and open up a little bit more into the heart, and this is your practice for today. Short-lived, 15 to 20 minutes. So we'll take a more active posture first to open up, getting into camel pose, Ustrasana. So yes, I am here in my RV because my house is a little bit, noisy with 3 kids, a husband and a dog. So this is the place where I found some quiet. So go ahead and come to standing on the knees. You're welcome to curl the toes under if you'd like, and this makes the posture a little bit more accessible to reach the heels, but bringing the hands to the low back, and you breathe in and then exhale as you push those hips forward. So this may be your camel pose for today. Understand that getting all the way down isn't necessary or the objective, but to really open up into the front of the hips, right? You can utilize a unilateral camel, meaning you can raise that one arm up and always supporting the back first, and then bringing that right hand down to the heel. And then when you're ready, you can switch sides. Go ahead and support the low back first, and then raise up that left arm or right arm, whichever posture you've chosen, and then bringing the left hand to the left heel. And know that you're always welcome to just hold right here, support that low back, open up across the chest. And of course the full variation of camel, bringing both hands to the heels, really pressing the hips forward, gazes up. Releasing the head can tend to be really crunchy on the posterior cervical spine. So taking the posture that fits you, and some of us may be right here, right? And so opening up once again into the front of the hips, and taking one more round of breath. And then exhale, climb to the top, and go ahead and just sit the hips on top of the heels, Vajrasana. And whether you're still on your board or you're on a stable platform, you're always welcome to bring the 2-piece fingers down to the board or down to the mat or the studio floor or the floor in your home. And feel the heartbeat maybe racing a little bit, the breath may be a little choppy. And so calming down, getting back down to the ground, back down to the stability of a board. If the eyes are closed, softly open, and we'll go ahead and come down to the belly. You can separate the feet about hip width apart or to the outer edges of your mat. And getting into a modified crocodile, so bringing that right arm through and then the left arm on top. And if you have blocks, I don't have blocks in here, but if the forehead feels really unsupported, you can just plant the forehead down to a block. If you're in the studio or in your home, stack of books, and just open up and cross the front of the shoulders, and over here into the deltoid and lengthening through the triceps. You may feel them open up and lengthen a little bit more. We activate it into the triceps and Dolphin Pose. So getting a little bit of length, really reach those fingertips in opposition. One more round of breath. And then go ahead and switch sides. So as you can see, and pardon your view, but my feet are, just even past the width of my mat. And just make some space so you're not crunchy onto the low back, and take what feels good for you. So whether you just simply want to stack the fists, bring the toes together, this is your choice, what feels good. Otherwise, taking the opposite arm on top, get long through the tops of the shoulders, and bringing the hands, the palms of the hands down, really reaching those fingertips all the way out, and find some length into the triceps, into the back of the arms. A couple more rounds of breath, really bask into it. And then slowly starting to inch the elbows back out. And then you can just simply stack the hands, bring the top of the forehead down, and just really get nice and heavy onto your board or onto your mat. And slowly, when you're ready, taking your time, coming up, and we'll move into half saddle or fixed fern, Supta Virasana. So as you come back and putting the hips right back down on the heels, separate the heels so that they come to the outsides of the hips. And understand that this can be very, very intense on top of the knees and onto the quads. So you're welcome to bring a block underneath the sit bones, one or two, right? And notice. So I'll give you a few variations to make this posture a little bit more accessible. So if it's really intense onto the quads and to the knees, you're welcome to come back down onto your belly, right? And just bend the knee so that you can grab onto the top of the foot, or utilize a strap and loop it and bring the heel closer towards the glute. This is a variation. If you're welcome to come onto your side and stack the right side on top of the left, flex through the right foot if you'd like, or just point the toes and open up in this fashion. So those are options. And then of course, for the full variation of reclined heroes pose, you're welcome to come back hand to hand, forearm to forearm, shoulder to shoulder, and come all the way down. There will be some space between the lumbar spine and your mat. You can bring arms overhead and grab opposite elbows. And that's the fullest variation. Half saddle is another option. You can extend that right leg nice and long and bend into that left knee. And this may be where you stay, just feeling some sensation, and stretch across the front of the knee, the patella, as well as into the quadriceps. Whether you stay upright, reach the chest forward rather than just hunkering down into the core. Stay nice and lifted. Of course, you're always welcome to come all the way down. Connect the shoulder blades all the way down to the mat or your stand-up paddleboard. And if you're working in half saddle in your own time, starting to make your way to your other side when you feel nice and ready. I'm going to stay just for a few more moments. And being kind to yourself as you make transitions. And realize that one side is always more accessible than the other. No two sides are the same. And noticing and realizing that sagittal plane, right and left and left and right, and can be very different. And you accept as you are. Notice your range of mobility and your anatomical you, really. And so feeling all that stretch across the tops of the knees and tops of the quads, right? If you have reclined, perhaps you've tapped in a little bit into the stretch into the psoas. And in your own time, coming back up to seated ever so gently, right? Whether you reclined with both knees bent or one knee, you can go ahead and bring the feet out in front of you. Take a few windshield wipers with the knees. Maybe extend the feet nice and long and shake out through the knees. And so get into a few more postures. Getting into bridge, I'll attempt to change my mat a little bit so the view is a little bit better. So as you come to lying on your back, okay, pop up the knees towards the sky, perpendicular the shins, to the earth or to your board. And I'll turn on a light. And so understand you don't necessarily have to brush the fingertips with the heels, but notice that the shins are nice and upright. And so you're welcome to grip the sides of your board, or if you're on the floor, go ahead and extend the arms and then press into the feet, into the shoulders, lift up the hips. Right? You can make this a little bit more regressive by bringing a block underneath the sacrum and just get heavy on that block as you open up into the front of the hips, or progress, interlace the fingers, inch the shoulder blades into the center, press into your board or into your mat, raise the hips higher, and then exhale as you lower it all the way down. We'll take a second set, and that can be Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward facing bow or wheel. I won't cue it, but you're welcome to go right into it, or we'll take one more bridge pose to really open up into the fronts of the hips and press into the feet in, and you lift the hips up. And I'll stay just like this for the second set. And you breathe and open. Keep the breath flowing. Since the chin comes closer towards the chest, the tendency is to stop the breath or constrict it. But can you really tap into it once more, one more round? And then exhale, articulate each vertebral body, come all the way down. And so you've opened up a lot into those hips. Feel the neutral spine, the back body connected. And then you can hug the knees into the chest, Apanasana. You can sway side to side, might feel that crunching on the low back as you get into those hip openers. So it should feel really good, happy baby. Okay. Spread the knees nice and wide. Grab onto the outsides of the feet from insides of the knees. Stamp that lower back down. And sway a little bit like happy babies do. And then go ahead and bring the knees together, get into candlestick, Viparita Karani, extend the legs all the way up towards the sky, and you can flip the palms down, right? And allow this gentle inversion as the hips are just slightly higher than the heart in this variation. And then releasing the legs all the way down. And we'll move into fish pose, a little bit of restriction here, but you can go ahead and extend the legs nice and long, right? And so you extend the legs nice and long, bring the big toe, bring the big toes to touch and point through the toes rather than dorsiflex, right? And so if you can picture that on one end, and then if you flip the palms down, tuck them underneath the hips. Okay, so just imagine my legs are all the way down to the earth in this posture. Press into the elbows, lift the chest up, and then release the crown down, right? And even if you wanted to take fish pose with the knees propped up, ideally having the legs extended to really open into the hips and into the heart. So I'll move it perhaps a little bit this way. Round down. One more round of breath. And slowly release. Once again, hug the knees into the chest. And we'll take one last posture, your lying spinal twist. So inching the hips a little bit over to the left, allow the knees to fall to the right. Extend that left arm out if you'd like, but keep that left shoulder blade connected down, right? So releasing some of the twist, if you like, you can take a fist and support the knees, or even in between the knees, but just making sure that the back body is connected to your mat. Many, many options. You can extend that right leg long. You can extend the left leg long, get more into the IT band. One more round of breath. And slowly starting to unwind. Reconnect yourself into the middle of your mat, and then take your hips right and allow the knees to fall over to the left. And so extending that right arm nice and long. Maybe you take that fist underneath the bottom knee or in between the knees. And honestly, there's never a dull moment in my house. So finding that twist and just massaging the internal organs, activating. One more round of breath. And then exhale, come back to center. Perhaps you get yourself into a tight little ball, wrap the arms around the shins, bring the forehead towards the knees. And then exhale, let everything go, come into your Shavasana. And if you're on your board, you really tapped into this video to finish it off. You bring your feet into the water, bring your fingertips into the water, just get nice and heavy, let everything go, let go of all that tension. Bask in the sun or in the stillness of the moment in your studio floor or in your floor in the house. And Shavasana is the most important posture in the practice. And so whether you need to stay here a little bit longer please do so. Honor yourself, honor your time, honor your body. It's been an honor to practice with you, to be with you, sharing everybody's generosity and energy. And until we meet again, Shanti, Shanti, peace. Namaste.